Hello, I'm Greg Gutfeld with Kimberly Guilfoyle, Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, and she sleeps on a cotton ball. Dana Perino, The Five. Now, we all know Kathy Griffin will do anything for attention, except apparently be funny. So she has to rely on shock value to get attention from those who still think Marilyn Manson is edgy. She embarrassed herself each New Year's Eve on CNN alongside a giggly Anderson Cooper, who certainly knows his crap.
I don't care what he says to the Russians. I mean, He's the president of the United States. If he wants to say that, Barack Obama wants to say whatever. If George Bush says, I looked in his eyes and thought he was
on his desk, you would defend it.
Oh, Mr. Pooper. So comedy's not their thing, which may be why Griffin's now embracing tragedy. Now, what we're going to show you is disturbing. So if there's kids in the room, tell them to go get you a beer. Here's Griffin in a photo shoot holding a mock decapitated head of President Trump. I'm glad we put mock in there. It's not his real head. There's also behind-the-scenes video.
Tyler and I are not afraid to do images that make noise. But first, I'm an artist.
Like the hair better before or after? With all the blood?
Should it be more straight on like that?
Nope, I'm seeing this side.
More...
Right like that. There you go.
Okay.
Just like that.
You got it. We have to move to Mexico today. Because we're going to get federal prison.
Yeah.
Call your dad, apologize. But let's new me and Daryl just go to Mexico today. Because we're not surviving this, okay?
So brave, so edgy. Her defense, she considers this art, the kind that reflects Trump's impact. I suppose I could say the same about Griffin by simply pointing to the contents in any bus station public toilet. But if you're mentally stable, unlike Griffin, you'll see this for what it is. First, it's a beheading of the president. Imagine how CNN would react if it were President Obama or Hillary Clinton done by someone here. Brian Stelter's lip would be extra sweaty. That's indeed possible. But Griffin's art also mocks those murdered by ISIS. The joke is deliberately linked to those beheadings. The joke is not just on Donald's head, but on theirs as well. So sure, call it art, but we know what it is. It's a cop-out. You're milking attention through an infantile effort to enrage. So if we get mad, you win. So we should shrug instead. I'd say Kathy should hang her head in shame, but she must know what shame is first. All right, while we were going to do the show, she has since put out an apology. Would you like to see it, anybody?
Please.
All right, let's do that.
Hey everybody, it's me, Kathy Griffin. I sincerely apologize. I am just now seeing the reaction of these images. I'm a comic. I crossed the line. I moved the line, then I cross it. I went way too far. The image is too disturbing. I understand how it offends people. It wasn't funny. I get it. I've made a lot of mistakes in my career. I will continue. I asked your forgiveness, taking down the image, going to ask the photographer to take down the image, and I begged for your forgiveness. I went too far. I made a mistake, and I was wrong.
It's all contrived.
You think so?
Yeah. I think it's, because if you, in there, sorry, I just jumped in there.
That's all right.
In the monologue, you showed the video behind the scenes where she's talking to the photographer. She's saying, call your dad, tell him that we're not going to survive this.
Right.
So the whole thing is manufactured. Free speech does not mean that it's free of consequences.
Right.
And she said, I'm going to stand by my art. Well, she's not. She's a total wimp. What she actually wanted was to get this picture on there, to have the shock value, create the firestorm, and then be able to do the apology so that she can get a ton of attention.
Yeah.
I don't believe her at all. Yeah.
No,
and I'm
true.
actually a pretty nice person.
You are.
Pretty
And I actually don't. I think
would
she's
disagree
lying.
with that. She's very mean behind the scenes. I want everybody to know that.
Exactly. You can't look at her in the eye when she's in the green room. She puts little labels on all the food. This is
true.
Dana's. Jesse.
So pre-scheduled apology. Is that what that was?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. Do you think? I mean, she's trying to be shocking, but it just feels so sad that you have to resort to this. And it was pre-planned. I mean, this is what she's.
Yeah.
She already knew what she was doing.
No, it seemed desperate. She wanted the attention, and she got it. Now we don't know whether she's going to pay the price for it. Do people want to watch New Year's on CNN and then think of Kathy Griffin holding a bloody Trump head? CNN's going to have to make that decision.
No, watch Fox instead.
Yeah, watch KG ring in the New Year's instead.
Oh, no, now you're in.
Oh, now you're in. Now she has to do it.
You're committed.
Maybe that's
it this year.
Maybe that was Kathy Griffin's way of getting out of this thing by doing that.
She can't stand Anderson Cooper. She finally has an excuse to leave now.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think it's more of a media story for me, because I remember some knucklehead hung Obama in effigy. It was covered on CNN wall to wall.
Or the rodeo clown.
Or the rodeo clown.
No, he lost his job.
He lost
banned
his
for life.
job for
banned
that.
for life from the rodeo clown.
Yes, people were fired. There was investigations. Republicans in Congress were asked to condemn it. So this happens, and not just some run-of-the-mill person. This is a Democrat donor. This is a CNN host on New Year's. This is a big-time Hollywood comic. Well, maybe B-list, but still. No one's going to cover it in the New York Times, I predict. And it's not wall-to-wall on CNN. So when there's a Republican controversy, the media covers it.
Almost looks like it's on
CNN. And a Democrat controversy, they cover it up.
Right.
Wow, I don't think so. I mean, look, what Kathy Griffin did is inexcusable. And I tend to think that it was all about getting attention, and they were looking at different strategies.
Way to go out on a limb.
I'm confirming what you guys said. I think from my perspective, you're right. I just think that she was looking and discussed with this photographer various ways that they could get attention and gin up this kind of reaction that would get the top of our show. But let's not, though, get into a thing of selective outrage here. The president, President Trump, had Ted Nugent in the White House just the other day. Ted Nugent, who has been investigated for threatening Obama when Obama was president. Ted Nugent.
What did he do?
I think he said either I'm going to be in jail or dead if Obama's reelected in 2012. And don't forget, you got people.
But we didn't support him, did we?
No, I don't know who supported him, but I'm just saying he's in the White House now, standing next, being embraced by our current president. And don't forget that you have things like Carl Palladino and these other people who were talking about the Obamas in the most offensive, racist ways.
Yeah,
or talking about Mrs.
No, there's
Clinton
nuts
in
on both
sexist
sides, Juan. The difference is the media outrage is different, Republican or Democrat.
I'm saying we should be outraged at Kathy Griffin, but let's not engage in selective outrage. Let's understand that
the media is engaging in selective outrage. I don't care what she does. She's not even that funny.
We have polarized politics, and it invites this kind of offensive display, and I think it should stop.
The worst thing about that was said to President Obama was by Bill Clinton. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
A couple years ago, that guy would be getting me coffee.
That's right.
Kimberly, is this one of those things that people will forget over time, or will it affect her career because she's a liberal, therefore she has an immunity bubble? Not like us.
I don't think people should forget about it at all. I'm certainly never going to forget about it. I think it's disgusting and reprehensible, and she should have apologized to the president for doing that. Somebody did that with President Obama. God forbid. Can you imagine the amount of press coverage and the outrage? She's basically just desperate for attention. She always has been. She always will be. She's not funny. This was not funny at all. I feel bad for his family and for his grandkids and for people to see it. It's so disrespectful. CNN should not allow her to do the New Year's Eve show at all whatsoever.
I think this,
because her sorry wasn't good enough, and it also was not sincere. I agree with Dana. That was just, it was very contrived.
You know, there was another idea for the photo shoot, Dana, when she was going to be naked in a bathtub full of Cheetos. I think we got lucky on this one. And by the way, you can say, "Oh, is that a slam at how she looks?" I don't care.
No, I mean, I like Cheetos.
She just didn't behead the president. I think we can say just about anything we want.
It also doesn't help the left. Like, if she thinks she's actually helping advance the left's cause, like that they have better ideas than President Trump and the Republicans, this actually just sets them back. Especially when it comes to the fact that we are dealing with an enemy who uses beheadings to try to advance an ideological agenda. I mean, think about somebody like James Foley or Daniel Pearl. These were victims in this war of the most vicious way to get attention to advance an ideological agenda that is against free speech.
Yeah.
And then she tries to claim free speech as her reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure she was going after that. I mean, I think she may have it's like, Medusa's head. That's the famous mythological image.
Oh, you're going with Greek mythology, Juan. That's what you're going with.
No, I'm saying that's what I think.
Holding a bloody head these days usually signifies an ISIS beheading.
No, I don't think so.
Not the butcher of Britain.
What?
Not that guy.
No, what hit me was, the Medusa who's, her stare will turn you to stone or whatever.
Okay, but you don't even want to go there because this is so horrible and offensive.
No, let me
it's not anything to do with Medusa. It's
Okay,
ISIS.
that's the way it struck me.
It's horrible. Maybe she should go spend some time with ISIS.
But I tell you what's truly horrible. This is a pop culture story, to my mind, not even necessarily political because it's so weak. The real outrage, the real reason we should be outraged sitting here is this guy in Portland killing people and uttering hate speech towards Muslims. That's something we should be talking about. This is a pop story. It's going to be gone by tomorrow. It's like a poof.
Well, Donald Trump spoke out against that, and apparently he was a Bernie Sanders supporter. So there's a lot of interesting parts to that story. The dude showed up at Trump rallies and freaked people out. They made him leave. He was a complete psycho. So yeah, you're right.
Dead.
Yeah, no, yes, we're aware of that, and it is outrageous. But we're doing this story right now. I'm just wondering if the whole idea is this art just covers everything.
Nope.
Because
an excuse.
I could have used that excuse a few times myself.
Remember when Sarah Palin had the map that had the targets on it? Okay, so she could have, I guess she could have said, well, that's art.
Yeah.
But what she was saying, these are the congressional targets, but the left called it eliminationist.
Right.
Oh, yeah, what would you call this?
Remember that? Yeah.
What would I call this? Ridiculous.
I just hope Stelter covers this on the weekend because it's a CNN person. Or maybe some of those suits that they're dealing with. Who knows? Don't hear much about those suits, do you?
Lawsuits.
Coming up, there are more lawsuits. Let's be really specific here. There's more anonymously sourced reports about the Russia investigation. The White House is pushing back hard.
President Trump is back from his first overseas trip and now dealing with a new chapter in the Russia saga. The White House today trying to contain the fallout over reports that Mr. Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner discussed the creation of a secret back channel with Russia during the presidential transition.
Mr. Kushner has volunteered to share with Congress what he knows about these meetings, and he will do the same if he's contacted or connected with any other inquiry. That being said, I think Secretary Kelly and General McMaster have both discussed that in general terms, back channels are an appropriate part of diplomacy.
Jared Kushner has said from the very beginning he's willing to go and share any information that he has with Congress, with the FBI. He'll be fully cooperative with any information that he has.
The president says he has total confidence in Kushner. Lindsey Graham, Krauthammer, and some others are casting doubt on the accuracy of the reports.
I don't trust this story as far as I can throw it. It makes no sense that the Russian ambassador would report back to Moscow on a channel that he most likely knows we're monitoring. The whole storyline is suspicious.
I don't trust the story. The Russians are leaking it clearly on a channel they know we're going to pick up. We've had the back channel connections with adversaries for generations. Henry Kissinger had them with the Russians and the Chinese. Hillary had a back channel to establish the opening of negotiations with the Iranians in what ended up as the Iranian nuclear deal. This happens all the time.
All right, Greg. So knowing that the Russia has a history of trying to, basically use propaganda and fake news, is it possible that the Russians actually are making this up and leaking it to just sow more chaos?
We always said that like Putin is kind of like the global prankster. It doesn't matter what side he's on because he creates turmoil on both sides, and that's why he's always winning. But I was thinking about this in a bigger picture that if you think about the 1980s, 37 years ago, the media was on the wrong side of the Cold War. While we were sitting there talking about the USSR and how they were infiltrating in our hemisphere and they were trying to undermine capitalism, they were obsessed with the post-Vietnam malaise, like America as the loser. Do you think possibly 37 years from now, or like around 2047, the media will finally go, hey, this radical Islam stuff is pretty dangerous, and we will already have moved on fighting robots. My point is this, that the media has always been behind the times when it comes to the true threat. So right now, what I believe that the Trump administration has done, naively, perhaps sloppily, perhaps in certain ignorant ways of the process, was trying to go after the greater risk at the time, which is the apocalyptic threat of radical Islam. And that made them say, let's have back channels, talk about Syria, this and that, and do things like that. So they made some mistakes. But the idea is bigger. And while the media is focusing on Russia, they're focusing on Islam. And this is going to and this is exactly what happened with the Cold War. There were people like Reagan who understood the real threat, but the media was still licking their wounds about Vietnam and how America was at fault.
It's interesting that you bring up Vietnam, because there was actually a commentary this weekend about how a lot of the polarization that we're experiencing today in America was actually rooted in that conflict.
That is true.
Kimberly, this news comes amid another personnel change in the White House today, with the White House Communications Director, Mike Dubke, announcing he's leaving his post after 3 months. Again, not unprecedented. That actually happened in the Obama administration after the first 3 months, when her name was Ellen, I think. She went to the Commerce Department right after that. But perhaps it's a different circumstance. And they have a new battle-ready team coming in for all the defense. How can they make sure that they keep the story on defense and not become the story? That's what I'm thinking about today.
Yeah, and I think you saw that a different tone and kind of tenor during the press briefing today with Sean Spicer, and not giving, specifics about it in terms of the story. They're really trying to separate that out between handling the Russia story and then daily matters in terms of the press briefing. So, yeah, you don't want to give them any ammunition to use against you. Right. I think the switch and the change now in terms of comms was a while coming, even though that was a short tenure. So that's not a surprise to me, because, that was going to happen. And they really need to overhaul that job. The president's been very upset with the communications, but he's frustrated with the press, in general, and saying that again today about fake news. And as it relates to this Russia investigation, I'm with Charles Krauthammer. I mean, where is the evidence of this? And how about all these leaks? There's dozens of names of people that were involved with the campaign transition that they've asked for the names of, and they've been now leaking different names. You saw Boris Epstein's name be leaked because he's Russian, so that adds like a little bit to the story, but where is the evidence there? He's cooperating fully, so this to me is just really left hysteria. I don't see any evidence thus far. If they want to go ahead and do this and spin the wheels on it, it's just like frothing at the mouth over Russia and making these accusations. But so far what I've seen is people saying they're going to cooperate, like Jared Kushner through his attorney, Jamie Gorelick, and Boris and other people. So let's see where this goes. It might be, as Shakespeare said, much ado about nothing.
Or, Juan, would the Democrats think that it could be much ado about something?
Oh,
not sure what.
I think that's
really
pretty poetic.
I was trying.
Yeah.
Beats Medusa.
I think you know it. You're a poet. But you know what? I mean, to me, Greg, you're missing a big story. A big story. I mean, it seems to me on Friday you get reports about back-channel communications, and on Saturday and Sunday you hear Jared Kushner had previously undisclosed contacts with the Russians. Then you see Adam Schiff, the top Democrat on House Intel, come forward and say, you know what? We should do something about this guy's clearance. We're not sure about what he's telling and doing with the Russians. That's pretty serious, given that he's the president's son-in-law.
What do you think he's doing?
I don't know what he's doing, because we have an ongoing investigation, and it would be wrong to jump to any conclusion.
Maybe they're actually looking at the world and going, it's not 1977 anymore, it's 2017.
That's not a reason to break the law. And
what did they break? What law?
What
back
law?
channels?
Oh, no, back
law breaking.
The idea that you would come and do business with the Russians in the face of sanctions and then promise, as a private citizen, remember, he was not even in office at that time, oh, we're going to do something about this, and I'm having contacts with the bankers who have been putting money into the Trump empire. This raises some serious questions about how we run government.
Raising serious questions.
Why is it sinister when Hillary has a back channel with the Iranians? I mean, that's not sinister? That sounds sinister to me.
No, it's not.
What, oh, really?
No.
So she has a back channel with the Iranians, and then they give them all that cash and let them nuke up. But this guy just wants to establish diplomacy, and you say all of a sudden he needs to go to jail?
And now they're taking that money and investing it in Syria.
What's the clear line? In one case, she is actually representing the interest of the United States and trying to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon.
So Kushner's not trying to represent the interests of the United States either? What is he trying to represent?
Apparently he was trying to undo sanctions imposed by the U.S.
So you know what was in the conversation.
That's
maybe you're the leaker. Maybe they're leaking to you,
No, I know I'm not the leaker, that's for sure.
Juan, you're so far ahead of this story, it's ridiculous. It's like death by 1,000 paper cuts.
No, you know what it is, though?
You're just going to try to bleed this guy out.
You guys are putting blinders on to try to avoid seeing what's so clear. No, I love this logic. I hear this from Trump. Trump says, oh, it's the Democrats making lame excuses because they lost the election. My God, how weak, how transparent.
You know what's weak is that you don't have any policies in Washington.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You're totally cut out of power. So you need to cook up some wacko conspiracy theory.
I know what. Let's cook up a policy like this. Let's do away with Obamacare. We'll replace it right away.
You know
better.
You can
immediately.
impeach Trump when you win the House. And then talk to me.
It might happen the way Trump's going.
Okay, all right. Well, the truth is that none of us could beat the leakers because none of us know anything. Actually, about any of this. We'll let Robert Mueller conduct his investigation. We'll find out later. All right, ahead, the Pentagon is preparing for the growing North Korea threat, testing today for the first time whether it can shoot down an intercontinental ballistic missile. The results next.
Welcome back. Breaking news from the Pentagon today. For the first time ever, the military successfully shot down an intercontinental ballistic missile during a test of a new ground-based defense system. The test was conducted from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California. It is an important development in our effort to deal with the threat posed by North Korea, which has conducted 9 ballistic missile tests this year. Defense Secretary James Mattis says it would be a catastrophe if the threat ever escalates to war.
A conflict in North Korea, John, would be probably the worst kind of fighting in most people's lifetimes. The North Korean regime has hundreds of artillery cannons and rocket launchers within range of one of the most densely populated cities on Earth, which is the capital of South Korea. The bottom line is it would be a catastrophic war if this turns into combat.
All right. So, Greg, they did this test, which went very well. What I like, I think, is the fact that they jumped on it right away to try to do these tests like defensive measures, not like, conducting meetings upon meetings to figure out if they should make the call to do this. And I think it's good because it was public. So North Korea knows what they're dealing with.
Yeah. So it was like, you guys can do that. We can do this. There you go. That's it. I like Mattis. He tells it like it is. He says it's catastrophic. To whom? Because I think what he's saying is could be such a ugly big war that it would probably be very ugly for them. And I think you have a population of about under California, 25 million. So you'd have to deal with this rather swiftly. I think he's giving the message to everybody around there that this will not be something that just takes a lot of time. It will be very brutal. Mm-hmm. And maybe I think he's trying to speak adult words so people take this seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm glad he plays for our team. Dana, when he was asked, does anything keep you awake at night? He's like, no, I keep other people.
I know, we're going to get a chance to talk about that in a second, because what I like about him is that he doesn't do drama and he doesn't exaggerate.
Right.
So the thing is, I think we should all take the threat very, very seriously. And the deterrence factor that we were able to put forward today basically is this show of showing them that we will be able to knock it down. Mm-hmm. But that only lasts for so long, right? Because they're continuing to progress. That means we have to continue to progress. And the idea of peace through strength still works as long as you have more strength, which I think that's the position that they're trying to put us in.
We needed the SDI.
Yeah, Strategic Defense Initiative, Ronald Reagan. We need to bring him back. Okay, Jesse.
Everybody in California should be thanking Ronald Reagan for establishing Star Wars, because now this missile defense system is going to protect potentially California and Hawaii. Juan, we're waiting for your thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good. We'll take that as a thank you from all the Democrats that opposed it. And, they don't have the sea interceptors on submarines because they don't have those in production yet. And they don't have anything land-based out by the Pacific. So it's like a 50-50 shot each time they try to intercept this thing. It's the hardest military technology in development today. It's about, it's billions of dollars. So the problem is, if they successfully launch something at California or Hawaii, whether we intercept it or not, we're just going to have to send over just a barrage of missiles just to take out every military installation immediately in North Korea. Do they want that? No. China doesn't want that. South Korea doesn't want that. So unless there's a coup or something like that in North Korea, there's really no good outcome whatsoever on the peninsula.
Well, I think I see this a little differently in that I think the Trump administration and President Trump may be sending a signal to China. Our ability to intercept, despite what you think in terms of the Star Wars technology, is not great. We intercept about half the time. I think it's been 9 of 17 since '99. So there's no guarantee. It'd be better that they don't.
Better than 0%. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm saying it's better that that we stop them right away. And I think the way that the Trump administration is doing this is to put pressure on China. And over the weekend, we saw the Japanese getting into this now for the first time, doing business with China, saying to the Chinese, you've got to stop North Korea. You got to control this situation. Because what Greg describes as catastrophic potentially for the North Koreans, I think that General Mattis was talking about catastrophic for not only our military positioned in South Korea, but for the South Korean people and then for Japan.
Well, maybe for everybody.
Yeah, I think,
all involved. I think was the general. Oh my gosh, perfect. They say tease. Let's go. Stay right there. The Past the Seven's up next.
Welcome back. Time for the fastest 7 minutes on television. Back by popular demand, 3 stories, 7 minutes. Let's go. First up, there's a reason why they call our Defense Secretary James Mattis Mad Dog. He's unflappable. Roll the tape.
What keeps you awake at night?
Nothing. I keep other people awake at night.
So good. Want to hear it again?
Yes.
Listen to this.
Yes.
What keeps you awake at night?
Nothing. I keep other people awake at night.
So that's what you want your defense secretary to say, right?
But you could take it a number of different ways.
Oh, really, Greg?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I keep people up at night.
Oh my God.
Hey, I'm trying to think of another way to assess this because we all realize it was an awesome quote. It's like right out of a Dirty Harry movie.
So don't ruin it.
But no, I just was like, what are we going to? The second part was, oh yeah, it's crazy at night at my place.
Yeah, the Mattis household off the hook.
Once I had a boss who
You
scared
dogs,
me.
Mattis.
When the boss said to me, I don't get heads, Juan. I give headaches.
Yes.
I mean,
That's right.
let me ease
That's
out
what his
of the
wife
office.
said?
Right.
KG, you gotta love it, don't you?
I'm telling
Gotta
you.
love Mad Dog.
I love me some Mad Dog. Yes, yes.
Mad Dog 2020.
Yes, yes.
Not the liquor, the defense secretary.
Oh,
No,
both go together.
That's
I
right.
haven't had
That's
the
why he
liquor.
goes to sleep so well.
He's great. I mean, how lucky are we to have him? Can we just like take a moment and say, wow, thank God he serves this country so admirably in a very tough job. I sleep well at night, looking rested. that he's on top of stuff.
You look marvelous. But let me just say,
Thanks
the
to
most,
Dana Sisters
the most
Aromatherapy.
impressive thing that he's ever said to me was when they asked him, what's the biggest threat to the United States today? And he didn't say ISIS or North Korea. He said it was the political disunity and spiritual and intellectual alienation here at home. I think being fed by all these Russians and everybody.
Are you sure that was Mad Dog?
No, but that's undermining our ability to fight ISIS. That's what he was getting at. He says that we cannot unite against a greater thing because we are disunified, brought on by 8 years of President Obama.
Oh, yeah.
Rumsfeld.
You're
Mattis.
a tricky
What
guy.
do you think, Dana?
Rumsfeld's got some great lines, but this one is excellent too. What I really like about it is you can prep your boss for interviews like that, but if they deliver a line that he didn't practice that line and he didn't know, I'm assuming that he didn't know the question was coming, then he was able to just deliver it like that. That's you can take the rest of the day off.
Brilliant line. All right, next up, snowflake alert. On Sunday, Robert De Niro gave the commencement address at perhaps the snowflake capital of the world, Brown University, and had a meltdown.
The country's gone crazy. In movie terms, when you started school, the country was an inspiring, uplifting drama. You're graduating into a tragic, dumbass comedy. Work for the change. Work to stop the insanity. Start now so the class of 2018 will graduate into a better world.
Kimberly in the break said, what is wrong with him?
I don't know. I used to really love him, and now I have to take it back. I have to
Really?
take the love back.
I'm sure he's very upset
Well,
by
he was a
that.
very good actor, but that wasn't a very good performance, was it?
Very good line, Kimberly. What about you, Juan? At Brown University, knocking Trump, that's like a layup, right?
Yeah, and I think it was sincere. I don't see anything that was phony about it. It's just, is it appropriate? I don't know. Look, it's about the kids when you give a graduation speech. I understand people are upset about President Trump, but gosh, I just thought, speak to the kids about their future.
I think he wore the hat better than Hillary did when she gave that commencement.
You thought it was a
little while
French
back.
beret.
I did.
Yeah.
You can imagine what his speech would have been like if Hillary had won. Of course, obviously, all of these speeches throughout the whole season would have been different. But I agree with Juan. In a speech at a graduation, what you want to hear is something inspiring for the kids. These kids are going to be fine. They're living in the greatest country the world has ever known. And yeah, we got some problems, but they're minor compared to ones that other countries are inheriting.
Well, I don't think Brown University students think this is the greatest country of all time. Gutfeld, what do you think of De Niro?
You know what's the most hilarious thing about this? He said that the country has turned into a dumbass comedy. He's talking about himself. If you think about the classic De Niro movies of the Taxi Drivers and Goodfellas and the later movies that have turned into dumbass comedies that he does so he can just pay off his bills.
Wait, Meet the Fockers?
I mean, he's really no. He's what you're watching is a projection. He's projecting his own tragic failures. He has transitioned. His amazing work has transitioned into painful commercial dreck to pay off bills. He's a reverse Butterfly. He used to be this brilliant artist, and now he's just doing lowbrow crap. So I think what he was doing there, he was talking about himself. That's the sad part.
Yeah, he's
De
getting a
Niro
little confused.
just got put on the couch by Greg Gutfeld.
Yes.
Finally, he's mastered trash TV. Nice.
He says he may not have a lot of money, but he has a lot of love. Ryan, what's going on?
Well, there's this little scrawny, obnoxious guy who I see looking at my woman sometimes, and I just don't like it too much.
Last Wednesday, I took her to Red Lobster, bro. And yes.
So now Democrats are reportedly urging Jerry Springer to get back into politics and run for governor of Ohio. He was once the mayor of Cincinnati. Jerry, what do you guys think?
He was your inspiration, wasn't he?
I love Jerry Springer.
For your
I
career.
shoot for the stars.
Yes.
And now I'm on the 5.
What does that say about us?
I don't know.
Wow. What does it say about America, Kimberly?
I don't know.
That's your party. Your party wants him.
Oh, yeah.
as
Well,
governor.
I don't know. I think your party's got Donald Trump, so I don't know. Take your pick. The funny thing about it is, in this country now with celebrity, and that's all that I think, although he was mayor of Cincinnati, let's be fair, of course, you have to explain what happened to him when he was mayor of Cincinnati.
He wrote a check.
He wrote a check to a lady of the night.
Yeah, Donald Trump did not do that.
Oh, I don't know what he did.
Well, I think the Democrats are mistaken if they think that finding a celebrity is going to be the key, because what President Trump had, yes, he had celebrity and he had the business background. He also had this amazing ability to connect, which I do not think Jerry Springer does.
Springer can't connect. What do you think of?
This is not a good idea. This is not a good look. This is the guy. He introduced a decade sideshow circus into American pop culture that basically pickled a generation's brains. I mean, like, it wasn't just bad enough sitting at home in the afternoon watching TV, but at least he had soap operas. Then this is just off. It was just awful stuff. It made you dirty inside. He's contributed nothing.
Oh, no.
Nothing to our culture.
No. This was Shakespeare. I thought it was Shakespearean. You talk about, I thought a lot of the drama, the human stories, I was fascinated.
You are so well read one. Well, I want to see Springer run for governor. I'm going to send him a check just so we have stuff to talk about here.
In the daylight.
Up next, yes, Tiger Woods was arrested in Florida. We have brand new details on that stunning news ahead.
Things aren't going so well for Tiger Woods. The legendary golfer already expected to miss most of this season after recently undergoing his 4th back surgery in 3 years. Now he's got legal problems too. Early yesterday morning, police in Florida cited Woods for driving under the influence after authorities found him asleep behind the wheel of his Mercedes-Benz. Woods released an apologetic statement today saying no alcohol was involved, and breathalyzer tests backed that up, and also saying that he had an unexpected reaction to prescribed medications. Jesse, you're a golfer.
Not a good golfer. I mean, hard to say you feel sorry for the richest golfer in the world, but I kind of do. He was on pace to beat Jack Nicklaus's all-time major wins. He's not now. He's had a ton of back surgeries, knee surgery. He's obviously has problems with pain medication, and he should have a driver. The guy doesn't need to be driving himself around. He could have hurt himself, could have hurt somebody else. I just kind of feel bad for the guy, I have to be perfectly honest.
Kimberly, he's 41 years old.
Yeah.
41, he says, he just was taking all this medication, didn't realize the impact it would have. On the other hand, it said he was driving from L.A. to Florida. That's a long drive.
Okay, well, obviously he has a problem with chronic pain and he has had these surgeries. That's well documented. What I thought wasn't fair was right away when the press came out and made it sound like he was drunk driving.
Yeah.
So technically still gets an under the influence, but it was zero, like nothing on the breathalyzer.
Yeah.
So you do believe him in terms of, okay, he was not aware there was some kind of bad interaction with the medication. That can happen. You have to be super careful in terms of if you're taking medication, especially if you've had surgeries, that type of thing, to how you react to it. But this picture went out, but then ESPN kind of photoshopped to clean up his hair.
Yeah, so let's stay on that for a second, because there was a charge that ESPN made him look better than the mugshot.
Well, it was better.
So,
I mean, if you do a side by
so
side.
do you think they were trying to save their hero's image, or they have some buy-in?
I don't know. Maybe just the shot looked better. I'm not sure. It depends. You have to ask the person who did any editing on it. But it's just a sad, I think, kind of state of affairs for Tiger Woods. He's one of the world's greatest athletes. I hope that a doctor, somebody can help him in terms of the medication that he's on. If anybody suffered from chronic pain or had surgeries, I've seen people. It's debilitating. It's very difficult to try to manage that in your life. And I don't know, I think every day of his life he still tries to live up to trying to be that great golfer, and the loss of his father and his marriage, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, in fact, Dana, I think a lot of the reason that people are having such a strong reaction, Woods is famous, but there's a sense of tragedy here. I mean, I don't think people
Greek tragedy, Juan.
In fact, yes. I don't think people think, oh, this is a golf story. This is a story about someone who rose to such great heights, whose father pushed him and pushed him and pushed him, and now looks like he may be falling apart.
Well, it'd be very difficult to live up to those expectations.
Yes.
And also, I think that this is a story that has been playing out in towns all across America, because we've been talking about this prescription drug addiction. And so it can happen to everybody, from somebody like Tiger Woods to somebody you've never even heard of. And what I would suggest for the young fans that admire him so much is that the best thing you can do, I think, is to pray for him so that he can get the help that he needs. And just remember that everybody hurts. Everybody suffers. And there but for the grace of God go you or me.
Greg, he apologized to his family. And again, even when he apologized to the family, everybody's mind immediately goes back to the sex scandal. I believe that's back in 2009. Is it unfair? Are we unfair to this guy? And Kimberly said, this happens.
It comes with the territory. There's like a 1.5 drunk driving arrests annually, but you don't hear about them because they're not Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, these sorts of things are the big equalizer. He's no longer any different than the guy you see on a Cops rerun. You're running around without his shirt on as they try to pin him in a bush. There's only one club.
Well, that didn't happen.
Yeah. There's only one club to get him out of this hole, and it's probably Narcotics Anonymous or something like that. I don't think the prescription drug abuse question or argument flies. I don't know. I mean, it's like you're out in the middle of the night driving. Maybe you're just taking it recreationally. I don't know.
Well, he has surgeries, and we don't want to disparage and then end up in a
I'm okay with it. I honestly think that there's a lot of it's good. They use it for pain, but a lot of people don't use it for pain.
Well, it's a sad story for a man who was heroic, hero to many people.
You're only as noble as your options.
One more thing up next.